Welcome back, everybody. This is the next phase of a story about my personal life with my father, and you're never too old for love, but also with the angelics. In the last video, we talked about my mother's passing and how when we come into this field of pure love, we can contact people, whether they're in a body or not, no matter where they are. If we can get in the right frequency zone, contact can be made because we're all naturally telepathic. So for my father, it was so interesting because we decided to spend good quality time together, just doing the things that we both love, because that way we really, really want to hang out. It's important with relationships with family that we find the things we have in common that we love, and we do that together. And it doesn't matter our political bent or, our spiritual reality. We can just have that private, put that aside, but spend good quality time. And that's what I did with my father. And so week after week, we were going out together. And even though we'd agreed not to talk spiritual realities, after a while, my father said to me, "Okay, I want to know how you do it." I said, "What do you mean, how I do it?" And he said, "Every time we go out into the city, you always find a car park. And I never get a car park. I hardly drive into the city because I find it so difficult to park. But you always get a car park exactly where we want to go. And I've watched, and I want to know how." And I said, "Okay, do you want the scientific explanation or the spiritual? What would you prefer?" And he said, "Give me both." So I said, "Okay, the scientific is the law of resonance. I just visualize a car park exactly where I want to go. And if it's full, somebody will come out at the time I arrive. And then I just ask to get into the perfect rhythm for that to be a reality. So I then can just relax and expect it. So I see myself already there. I see myself pulling up, going, 'Thank you, yay,' exactly where I wanted." And that's just quantum interaction. And he went, "Okay, get that." He said, "All right, what's the spiritual reality?" And I said, "Okay, well, you could say I book them with the angels." And he went, "What?" I said, "Well, there's baby angels in training who hang out with people on earth. And then there's, of course, the archangels and many levels. And the archangels never get involved in car parks because that's, but that's for the baby angels in training." He laughed. He loves angels. And I said, "I just asked the angelics to just get me in the right rhythm and flow so that I arrive just when someone's leaving, or that the car park's just waiting there for me." And he said, "Well, I believe in angels. Can I have an angel team to help me with car parks too? Because that's something that irritates me in life." So I said, "Okay, great. Why don't you play with that?" And he did, with great success, because he thought it was fun. And he was so chuffed. He was really like, "Yes, I've manifested car parks. Yeah, got that nailed." And then he said, "All right, well, I've had my stroke and I can't paint with my right hand anymore. Can I tune into them for painting with my left, as we shared in a previous video?" And I said, "Sure." And that's what he did. And he started to produce the most amazing work. And then a little while later, he said to me, "Oh, I miss your mother, and I miss sex. I miss cuddles. I miss all of that. I really am so lonely." And I said, "Well, have you heard of the Cosmic Dating Agency?" And he went, "Huh? The Cosmic Dating Agency? How does that work?" And I said, "Well, it's part of the angelic realm of fun and play, but it's really just quantum responding to you and your dominant thinking, feeling patterns and the reality you're creating." And he said, "Oh, that's boring. Come back to the angels. What do I do?" Now, what I love about this is that, you need to and be a living example, and people then witness you as a living example, that there's grace in your life, that things flow well, and that you're happy, healthy, and life is good for you. And then they pay attention. Then they might ask, and then you can give them a technique, and they apply that technique. And when they get results, they want more. And that's what happened to my dad. He just went, okay, that worked. Tell me about how do I get a good love again? I miss your mom, but I can't bring her back and I'm lonely. So I said, okay, Cosmic Dating Agency runs like this, and we're going to give you different techniques for the single ones and the married ones. So my dad was single and ready for love and lonely, and I said, first you do a list of everything that you are open to and that you would like. You know, someone who's emotionally available, maybe matches you well spiritually, is kind, maybe compassionate, matches you intellectually, emotionally, whatever. It's your list. Do it. And so he got really busy. He couldn't write, but he thought about it, and he was thinking of all the things on the list. And then I said, and at the bottom of the list, you have to put, or something better, please, in case you've forgotten something. Because this quantum intelligence just reflects back to us our, as we said, our dominant thinking, and it reads our energy signals all the time. So it's like your dominant beliefs and energy is what's going to attract back to you many different things. So my dad did this, and a few weeks later, about 3 weeks, he rang me up and he went, I have a date, it's so cool. And I met her at rehabilitation because he was in rehab to learn to use his body properly again after he'd had another stroke. And he said, oh, and she's so well matched. She's everything on the list but one thing. I said, what's that? And he said, she's 80 years old, and I asked for a younger woman. And I said, but Dad, you are 82 years old. She is younger. And he went, oh, okay. Anyway, he then had another 5 years nearly in his life, or no, actually 3 years of married life with this one. And it was very interesting to see him because everybody around them realized you're never too old for love. And she also felt she'd had a wonderful first marriage and she'd never expected at that age to fall in love again, but she did. And they added something really lovely to each other's lives. And you know, I used to hear him talking to her sometimes, and he'd look lovingly and he'd say, you know, I asked the angels for you. And she said, yes, I asked the angels too, for, you know, a good end period of my life, because she was also very tuned to the angelic realms. So I hope you enjoy that story. So if you're looking for to have a beautiful relationship with somebody, I know that all of these major relationships are pre-booked, but that's another discussion for another time. But can you put on your list, single people, not married, can you put on your list a list or just everything that you would really, really like, but not the physical detail? Because I see many people, they block wonderful relationships because they're too locked in here about how that person should appear to them physically. And you can manifest the most beautiful looking person in your life, but if you're not matching vibrationally in core values, in morals, in heart, on all these other more important levels, you won't find each other attractive after a while anyway. But if somebody is really matched with you on these core levels, it doesn't matter how they look, because you'll eventually grow to really, really love them. And that love of who they are on all these other levels will be what you see. You know, and I've had this experience myself in my life, and I've now been with my second husband. He's been in my life for 37 years. It's a long time. And every day is like brand new. Every day is like a new beginning with us, and we are growing and changing, but we are so well matched on many, many levels, and it's just wonderful to be in that type of relationship. So let go of the superficialities, do a very clear list that focuses on, you know, the important things for you, that you are well matched on all levels. And we will talk more about this in future videos for those of you who are interested in, yeah, just connecting again with somebody that really matches you energetically, like my father was able to do with two very, very different people in his life. This is Jasmine here, sharing what we hope is inspirational stories.